Hello, fluffy gamers.
The worms are dangerous. They kill just by looking at you. They grind you into a sandflower if you get too close.
That's all propaganda from Atreides and Harkonnen leaders, to keep us sleepers in fear. So, how dangerous are the worms really, and how can you avoid a secret death trap by this little puppy? Look at those tiny shiny teeth he has. They look very spiky. I kinda wanna see them closer, but maybe in a little bit. Whee! So, hey, I said in a little bit, not now. Go eat some other players. Let's start with the biggest myth. The worm kills you no matter what state it's in. I spent hours testing this. I checked both Hagga and Deep Desert, and guess what? Nothing happens when the worm is just roaming. You don't die unless you get fall damage or something like that. That's the second time for me when this has happened, so it's pretty rare bug. I wouldn't worry about this happening too often. Also, I was measuring a aggro range of the Deep Desert worm, which happens to be 500 meter radius, and the center point will be always the worm. Anyways, let's get back to the topic of worms being evil and killing us all the time. If worms killed in roaming state, we'd have endless instant death moments. Think about standing near an island. If roaming worm passes under it, you'd be dead with no warning. That's not how the game works. Bug like that did exist before, but devs fixed it. Yeah, and there are still some rare cases when something like that happens, but that's a bug. That shows us worms are not meant to kill without a warning. And actually there is even more than just one warning to alert you. When you are on open sand, worms sometimes give two audio cues, a music change and a cracking sound like it's getting closer to the surface. This cracking sound also plays when the worm dives under the island, so it can confuse you. And on a drum sand or when it's extra cranky, you might not hear these cues at all. After the audio, the worm breaches and yells at you. There are two aggro animations, a long one, 15 seconds, and a short one, 5 seconds. And you'll see a red worm icon on the compass. At this point, the worm is deadly, so do not touch it. But also do not panic. You still have time. To survive, get off the sand. Watch the vibrating screen indicator. When it disappears, you are safe. If the ground is clear, then keep eye on the red worm icon on your compass. As long as it's showing, the worm is still in aggro mode and very sensitive to any movement. If you have lots more work to do on the ground, it's safest to wait until the icon disappears. In Hagga, if you land before it's gone, the worm will start a brand new aggro cycle as soon as the icon fades. But in Deep Desert there is exactly a 30-second gap between the aggro cycles. If you only have little bit left to do and you are impatient, you can do a quick de-aggro. The aggro cycles also last from 20 seconds up to 40 seconds. Sometimes the worm pops up right next to you, and that is bad for two reasons. One is that worms fall back on the sand, and if you happen to be under it, you'll get crushed. But even bigger issue is the death trap that can sometimes happen. When the worm is close to you, the camera suddenly pulls way back so you can see the worm in the full view. Nice for the screenshots, but bad for the survival and your heart. Problem is that all your actions are tied to the camera. not to the character. With a camera so far out, you may not get the option to jump into your chopper. No need to panic. There is easy fix for that. Simply look slightly up. The camera is forced to orbit around you and it cannot go under the ground. By looking up, you push it closer to your character. Once it gets close enough again, the chopper options will return and you can fly away to the safety. So if a worm surprises you with point blank, don't panic. Stay calm, tilt your view upward, and then hop in your chopper to escape. The last stage is eating. Again, if you touch the worm now, you're dead. There are two types of eating animations, vertical and horizontal. Usually the vertical is played when it eats vehicles, shuttles and thumpers, and horizontal is for the players. But that being said, I have had times where it comes with horizontal animation for the thumper. I'm not entirely sure what causes that to happen. It could be a bug or there is some RNG in that system. So if you ignore warnings too long, it will attack, with only seconds to react. If you're too far from your doctor, abandon it. Your gear is usually worth more than the doctor. And it is important to know when escaping horizontal attacks, the worm can raise its head, so be sure to gain more height or go sideways while escaping. This video shows that the worm is not as dangerous as people claim. To me, the worm is more of an annoyance than the threat. One reason people are more afraid now is because of the recent patch note. That said, colliding with the sandworm when it's above ground will kill you. But that's not entirely accurate. It only kills in aggro states, not during free roaming when the parts of the body surface naturally. So please share this video with your buddies. Knowing how the most dangerous mechanics in the game actually works is important for everyone. And misleading patch notes don't help anyone. If you have worm anxiety, I do recommend dropping all your gear at your base, grab a sand bike and go get eaten a few times. You'll learn how much time you actually have to escape. The fear is a spice illusion. If any of this helped you, please consider subscribing. It really helps me and the channel to grow. Well, I don't need to grow anymore, but it helps me a lot. Stay fluffy, sleepers.